Have you ever watched Tom Brady and thought to yourself, how is this guy in his mid-40s and still playing in the NFL? And not only that, but at an elite level.
I am the king!
And it's not like this guy hasn't taken his fair share of hits over the years.
The rush, and here's the hit, and a line.
So clearly, this guy is doing something that other people aren't that's paying off big time. And the reason why this is so important, even if you're not an athlete, is that as we age, one of the main things that we want to avoid is injuries. So while we don't have to train exactly like Tom, we can implement specific strategies to make sure that we are strong and resilient throughout our day. So I want to go through his routine so we can see what's working and to also highlight what's worth implementing and things that we probably don't need to. So let's dive in. Strategy number 1 is getting adequate sleep. Tom says he tries to get about 9 hours of sleep every night, so he's in bed by 8:30 and likes to wake up around 5:30. And the science is extremely clear on this, that we recover while we sleep, not just physically, but also cognitively. Sleep helps us process and emotionally categorize our events from the day, so this helps us decrease our risk for things like anxiety, depression, and also PTSD. Sleep helps replenish neurotransmitters, which helps us have a better mood, energy, and focus. Sleep leads to an increase in anabolic or growth steroids, which helps us not only recover, but also build muscle. Sleep upregulates your immune system, which makes you less likely to get sick. And then finally, it decreases your risk for musculoskeletal injury. So clearly, you don't need to be an athlete to want these types of benefits, right? Now, if you do want to optimize your sleep, I have the perfect video for you. All you have to do is click on the link here. Strategy number 2 is emphasizing pliability over raw muscle and strength. So if you saw Tom Brady without his shirt off, you'd probably be surprised he doesn't have the standard strong-looking physique. Instead, he has cultivated a body that is built for functional strength and resiliency. And I love this about Tom. He doesn't care about looking a certain way. He prioritizes his performance and trains in a way that helps him optimize this.
Just thought you'd like to see what a skater's body really looks like.
And this is how I view exercise as well. Sure, I want to look good with my shirt off, but my main priority is to be able to train in a way that helps me do the things I want to do without getting injured. So this could be lifting, running, biking, swimming, doing jiu-jitsu, or just playing with my kids. So how is it that Tom trains so that he's less likely to get injured? He uses resistance bands and a lot of repetition, specifically in the movements that he does throughout a game. This allows not only his muscles, but his ligaments and tendons to become strong, mobile, and injury resistant. Now, there's nothing wrong with being strong, but if you prioritize strength without working mobility, especially over your joints, you are going to make yourself more injury prone over time. Strategy number 3 is staying properly hydrated. Now, Tom is reported to drink about 2 gallons of water a day, and he does add some minerals into some of his water as well. And I'm also a big fan of drinking water, especially with the right mineral balance. But do you really have to drink 2 gallons a day like Tom? And the short answer is no. Most people do well on 2 to 3 liters per day, and then this can be adjusted depending on certain things like your age, sex, temperature, and activity level. And since we know that dehydration can lead to muscle fatigue and injury, it is really important to prioritize proper hydration. And one thing I would like to highlight is that Tom, again, does add in minerals to his water. Though if you look at his supplement line, I don't really love the ratios that he uses. It could use a good bit more sodium and some more potassium and magnesium, especially if you're going to be drinking about 2 to 3 liters of water a day. But this is definitely much better than just drinking plain old water, which doesn't have any of those electrolytes that your body needs. Strategy number 4 is avoid inflammatory foods and liquids. So there are quite a lot of foods and liquids that Tom will avoid, and the rationale is that it avoids inflammation within the body. And the specific things he avoids include gluten, coffee, dairy, though he will use some whey protein in his smoothies, corn, soy, MSG, nightshades, which are things like your tomatoes and peppers, and alcohol.
Tom, how often was that?
Well, I guess he avoids alcohol most of the time. Now the question is, do you need to be avoiding all of these things all the time? Probably not. Though I do think if you are going to eat these foods, you should prioritize the highest quality sources of these foods. So that would be organic, non-GMO, local, and heirloom varieties whenever possible. And the only foods or substances that I avoid regularly would be soy or MSG. And a lot of people are probably going to hate me for this, but alcohol, despite the back and forth research, I think is overall a net negative, with the one big positive that a lot of people prefer it for social activities.
You know what? Give me that thing. I'll do one. We gonna do one.
Caffeine is fine in moderation when it comes to coffee. I usually limit it to 1 to 2 cups per day. And as for gluten, dairy, corn, and nightshades, I think this is dependent on the individual. Some people do have sensitivities to these food groups, and eating them regularly will cause low-grade inflammation and impaired recovery. But do people need to avoid all these foods all the time? No. Strategy number 5 is eat 80% plants and 20% lean animal protein. Oh boy, is this going to piss off the carnivore crowd.
Which vegetables are okay to eat? My answer is no.
How is it that Tom Brady is able to thrive by eating all of those horrible plant products that are trying to kill you? I'm with Tom here that for most people, a balanced diet that includes both plant and animal products is optimal. By eating a varied and diverse diet of whole foods, you are preventing your body from creating nutritional deficiencies over time that you would get from eating a very limited diet. Now, as for the ratio of plant to animal products, I think this varies widely amongst people, and it's going to depend on a lot of different factors, including your age, your sex, your activity level, your lifestyle, your environment, and also your genetics. So for instance, your dietary needs are going to be very different if you are a young female who's pregnant living in Alaska in the winter versus being an 80-year-old male who lives in Costa Rica year-round. What's ideal for you dietarily may not be the same as for somebody else, and it's also going to change over time. I do think it's important for everyone to prioritize getting enough protein for recovery, as the research is pretty clear that you need adequate protein for muscle protein synthesis. And those who are too low in muscle are the ones who are more likely to get injured overall. The take home here is you want to avoid being dogmatic in your approach, but make sure you are starting from solid principles. So putting all this together, what's my take on Tom's regimen to promote healing? Well, it's clearly working and it's hard to argue with these results, right? I think he has solid principles overall, though some things such as avoiding the food groups that he does is not something that everyone has to ascribe to. But would the majority of people do better on more sleep, activity that helps prevent injury, and staying properly hydrated? Absolutely. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share with somebody who you think would benefit from it.